Friends, I just watched the Joe Biden address, his first public speech in over 80 days. And I got to tell you, as somebody that absolutely loves and supports this president, somebody that has stood with him before day one, before he became president, somebody that is a very strong conservative and a Christian, I got to tell you, when Joe Biden finished speaking today, I was a little bit worried. I was concerned. I'll put it that way. And let me tell you why. He was able to rub two thoughts together, three, even four. I don't know what they were doing to him or with him for those 80 plus days that he was in hibernation in his basement. But something started clicking. He was able to read off the teleprompter. He did it pretty well. He was also able to answer questions. I was waiting. Every time somebody asked a question to Joe, I was waiting for him to fumble, for him to mumble, for him to lose his train of thought, for him to forget what he was saying like we're all used to seeing him do. But it didn't happen. And he sounded, if I can be very honest with you, it's why I'm concerned, he sounded pretty good. He sounded good to the individuals that don't know any better. He sounded good to the individuals that are believing the lies that not only he told, but the mainstream media continues to tell about this current president, Donald Trump. He sounded pretty good. If you don't know the facts and don't really know what's going on, if you're siding with this BLM movement and you're siding with all these protesters that are out everywhere destroying property and crying because, there's systemic racism and we just all need to do something about it. If you don't understand what's going on, then he sounded really good. And then we got this whole Russia thing. Are you kidding me? Russia is now back in the mainstream spotlight. Some supposed intel, classified intel that the president should have known about, didn't know about, didn't act on, and Joe Biden said at the very least or most it's a dereliction of duty. To people that do not understand and don't see the writing on the wall, friends, Joe Biden sounded pretty good. Yeah, he sounded good until you realize they've been talking about Russiagate and Trump colluded with Russia for years. There was nothing there. Now it's back in the spotlight. It sounded good to all the individuals out there that think it's Donald Trump's fault somehow that the coronavirus blasted us here in the United States. Let's forget about China. Let's forget about the World Health Organization. Let's forget about all the agencies that didn't say anything, didn't share any news, that said it's not a threat, it's not a pandemic, no need for concern. And, by the way, Donald Trump did shut off the entry from China in January when none of the people on his advisory board said that he should. Let's forget about that. If you don't know those facts, and you want to look for somebody to blame, and the mainstream media is telling you, well, it's not China's fault, it's not WHO's fault, it's not CDC's fault, it's Trump's fault. Well, if you believe all those lies, then he sounded pretty good. He also sounded good when he said, these statues, we need to understand that systemic racism is a problem and that it's time that we do something about it. And these monuments, it is time for these Confederate monuments to go. Maybe they need to go to a museum. Maybe they do need to be torn down because people are angry. He sounded good to the people that just think anger is the answer for everything. Just lashing out in anger. You're pissed off at the world because it's just not fair. The world's not fair. And we just need to go tear down these statues. Yes. To those individuals, he sounded pretty good. And then something hit me. It hit me that I really, truly hope there's enough intelligence in this country to understand what Joe Biden said between the lines. If you read between the lines, when asked about masks, if we should wear masks, Joe Biden said, I think that it's something that we should actually push for. He was basically preparing a roadway to say masks should be mandatory in this country if he were to become president. He also showed that he's very sexist. Why? Because it's a list of only women. And I think it's also kind of racist to say it's only going to be women of color that are going to be on his list of potential vice presidents. Yeah, I think that's hit sexism and racism in the same sentence. And Joe Biden admitted that today. He's also not afraid to use the race card and saying that he's got a list of black women for the Supreme Court. Oh, yeah, for the Supreme Court, for the justice that he's going to potentially understand the next president will most likely pick 2 Supreme Court justices. Joe Biden said it's got to be a black woman. Forget about skill sets. Forget about their ideologies. Forget about if they believe in the Constitution. Forget about if they're a male. Forget about if they're white or if they're Asian, if they're Hispanic. Well, I think he maybe added Hispanics in there because, again, he's pandering to the votes of those individuals out there that really don't know what's going on. But let me tell you what's going on. If Joe Biden was to become president of the United States, you know what he definitely said he would do? He said he would rescind the tax reform, the tax cuts that Donald Trump got all of us, that gave pretty much everybody a tax cut, that created a whole lot of booming jobs because corporations had more money to then grow their businesses, incentives to bring their businesses back here to the United States and do business here in America. Oh yeah, he wants to rescind all that. You know what else would take place if he rescinded the tax reform? The opportunity zones, the urban revitalization coalition that the president, along with some black folks, put together to help over 9,000 very impoverished minority communities with an influx of capital over $100 billion. We haven't even begun to see that yet. But guess what? If Joe Biden gets elected, you can just erase that. Act like it was never there. And they'll try to say that it was never going to happen anyway. But oh, it will. Understand, it will. It's in full motion already. But if Joe Biden was to win the presidency, it would be another attack on minority communities, mostly black communities, as those are the communities that are going to see that influx of $100 billion from the opportunity zones that this current president put in place because of the tax reform bill. Understand, if we elect Joe Biden as president of the United States, all of the lawlessness, all of the chaos, all of the mayhem, all of the destruction that we've been seeing in Democrat-controlled cities all over this country will become the new normal. David J. Harris Jr. here. If you like this, you'll love my book. Get it in my store at davidharrisjr.store.